CBS 4 at 5:30's Claudia Tristán is live at the shelter with what reps say is keeping the tent city open even longer than expected.
We're here outside of the Tornillo port of entry. We're inside. There is still a shelter for unaccompanied children. Now, Texas reps with the Mexican-American Legislative Caucus took another tour of the facilities today, and they tell us not only are they staying open for longer, but they're also expected to grow. We're here in the Chihuahuita neighborhood where this fencing that you see right behind me is the border barrier in this area, but it'll soon be replaced by what U.S. Border Patrol is calling a wall. It's tight storm drains like this one that U.S. Border Patrol agents have to crawl through when they're trying to find undocumented immigrants making their way to El Paso. Now, agents can come to find chemicals, explosive gases, insects, and even snakes while they're tracking undocumented immigrants. We're here right in front of the Paso del Norte bridge in downtown El Paso. For weeks, U.S. and Customs Border Protections has been saying that their holding centers at ports of entry are at capacity. And this morning, they were able to allow 6 asylum seekers to enter and present their claims.
This was really the community coming out to accompany people who are having their rights curtailed by CBP right here on the international bridge. 4 undocumented immigrant families made their way to the top of the Paso del Norte bridge to ask for asylum. With immigration advocates around them, they reached the borderline where U.S. Customs and Border Protection officers stood close by.
We're not saying you cannot claim fear. We're not saying come back. We're just saying we cannot process you at this time.
Officer Arnoldo Gomez said they're working to keep port of entry holding areas as safe as possible.
We were at a point where it was not safe, not humane, the way we were at capacity, so we don't want to do that.
Asylum seeker Beatriz Garcia is trying to give her family a life free of violence.
We've been here for 4 days and we just want to seek asylum for the children.
Officer Gomez went to check on capacity for the day before returning to the borderline.
Okay, we'll take that group.
They decided to take 1 family and 2 unaccompanied minors to present their asylum case.
I legitimately had room for 5. We'll take the extra. And it's considering they're 2 UACs, we're good.
A priest gave them their blessing and wished them luck as they took their first steps on U.S. soil.
Individuals who have left their country because of fear, they have the right to ask for asylum. Now, whether or not they're going to win that asylum remains in the future, and an immigration judge will determine that.
Family reunifications are happening right here in El Paso, and until last night, 2 undocumented parents hadn't seen their 4- and 3-year-old kids since earlier this year. One dad says he was stunned by what his son told him had happened while in government care. With Play-Doh in hand, father and son are making up for lost times. Roger was separated from his 4-year-old son Roger since February after arriving from Honduras. The 2 were reunited Tuesday night, but he still remembers the day they were separated. Roger says he was mistreated while in federal custody and says his son was too while placed with a family. Pablo Ortiz was also reunited with his 3-year-old son Andre. Ruben Garcia is the director of the Annunciation House, a refugee shelter in El Paso. He says the federal agencies involved made appropriate efforts to reunify families on time.
They were exempted both from the ankle monitors. The parents are not wearing ankle monitors, and they were also exempted from the DNA. All that ICE said to me is that they had done the background checks that they needed to be satisfied, and they were ready to release them.
Annunciation House took in 3 total reunions Tuesday evening, in time for the federal deadline to reunite children under 5 with their parents after being separated at the border under the zero-tolerance policy. U.S. Health and Human Services Secretary says he's proud of the work the federal agency is doing to reunite kids.
I believe we are saving kids' lives here. We've saved kids' lives by keeping them from being with some really evil people, some of them, or keeping them with people who are not their parents.
Roger says he's using his experience to warn others back home. Annunciation House says they've worked with 48 separated parents since June. Of those, 7 had kids under the age of 5, and only 4 were reunited with them by yesterday's deadline. 2 more were expected to be reunited today. Reporting live in studio, Claudia Tristán, CBS 4 at 5.